Hello everyone and welcome back to DMG. Not long ago at all, I looked at the ThinkPad T500. And although I did like some aspects of it, it also had some flaws that were surprising from a machine that people seemed to recommend so highly. I had several people, in fact, just say, ThinkPads are actually great, you just didn't get the right one. And that's valid. Or at least it can be in many cases with laptops. Like, if I had bought a Latitude D531 as my first Latitude, I doubt I would think very highly of the Latitude line. So I gave ThinkPads a second chance and bought the famous one, the one that everyone always seems to talk about. This is the T420, haha, funny weed number. So the IBM WeedPad 420 is a slightly newer machine, as denoted by the 20 suffix, and I got one of the higher end configurations. This has a Core i5 2520M, 16 gigabytes of memory, and NVS 4200M discrete graphics from NVIDIA. So this is I went for like one of the best configs I could find without paying a, too much money, basically. Because these sell for more than they should. I guess because the ThinkPad name and like the whole ThinkPad cult, it's stupid. These go for like over $100 when a comparable Latitude will go for like $65. But anyway, I've got this T420. And I still have pretty much the exact same complaints. They figured out how to put a door on the bottom. There is one memory stick under this. One memory stick. There's one memory stick down there. There's one of them. The other, you still have to take the keyboard off for, and it's still a mess to repair. This also has a captive screw. And I think this is actually the only captive screw on the entire laptop, but at least there's one. That's one more than the T500. The battery still doesn't have a button you can press with little LEDs that show the level. I mean, even like cheap aftermarket batteries for Dell Latitudes have that, so I don't know why Lenovo didn't put that on. And it still feels like it was built in 1993. It is still needlessly obtuse to disassemble. It's still a long process, but instead of part of the touchpad and palm rest assembly coming off and then having to detach the keyboard and then the bezel above it and then some like metal plates, you take out all the screws on the bottom and the whole top just comes off as one section. So that is so much better of a design. It's still not as good as just having a big door on the bottom that has the CPU, the video card, the memory, and the wireless all next to each other, and you can swap any of those components within like under a minute, like the Dell Latitudes have, but it is a better, less confusing design than the T500. Still got an optical drive. This time it is hot swap, and there's a little, it's like child lock. It is impossible to get this damn thing out. Yeah, so hot swap, SATA port as is, common on business laptops. It gains some new I/O and it loses some legacy I/O. So let's look at the ports. Back first, actually, it's got the one annoying vertical USB port, AC charger jack, the two fan vents, and then on the left, VGA, RJ45 is gigabit LAN, and you don't need to install the driver and do weird configuration to get the gigabit LAN on the T420 working, like on the T500. DisplayPort USB 2 that is horizontal! So they figured out how USB ports should be placed. Then there's the hard drive. Front has pretty much nothing, just the lid latch. Right side has combo headphone and mic. Those are better separate. Optical drive, obviously, wireless on and off switch, SD card reader, just one tiny express card port, which is a shame because the T500 was really good in that way. It had both a PCMCIA and full-size express card. This just having a small express card is a little sad. And then 2 more horizontal USB ports, with one of them also having eSATA. And there's a unfilled hole on the back there, I believe, for an optional modem. It looks like the ThinkPad. It's very basic, it's very neat, and it's very clean. And I like this. The speakers are on the side instead of up top above the keyboard. This is slightly smaller, by the way. This is a 14-inch instead of a 15-inch. In the 14-inch form factor, putting the speakers on the side instead of up top means that there is now room to make the touchpad bigger. If they'd still put the speakers up at the top, the touchpad would have had to get a lot smaller. The touchpad has this like texture on it, and I really don't like it. Also, I have tried to clean that. I know it's gross. It has just not come out. But the touchpad has this like ribbed texture on it, and I do not find it particularly pleasurable. Although it's good. I mean, it's a multi-touch touchpad. Does 2-finger scrolling, horizontal and vertical, like laptops started to do at this time. So it's a good touchpad. Still has the pointing stick. What's it called? Lenovo has some name for it. Then, of course, triple buttons for the pointing stick and double buttons, left and right click, for the touchpad. You still have the sinfully swapped function and control keys, and that is not a thing that anyone should do ever. And then look at this screen. It's the wrong size. They put the wrong size screen in here. That bottom bezel, you could land a 747 on that bottom bezel and then still have room to park a school bus next to it. It's clear that this chassis was designed to fit a 16 by 10 aspect ratio screen, but it has a 16 by 9 stuffed into it. I mean, it's obvious that it should be thicker at the bottom. And that is just where my complaints with the screen begin. Let me change the frame rate on my camera so you don't see that flickering. Well, that's absolutely wonderful news. In either NTSC or PAL with flicker reduction, or filming in 30 frames a second, the screen still flickers, which is a bit of a problem. But it is far from the only issue I have with this screen. The issue I have with this screen is it looks rancid. The T500 had one of the best screens, if not the best, I've ever seen on a business laptop rather than a media and entertainment one. The T420 substitutes the color-accurate, warm CCFL LCD for a lower resolution 1600 by 900 LED display that, well, if you like blue, washed out, disgusting screens, well, this is exactly for you. Now I understand why the OLED, IPS, whatever the hell it is, screen mod is so popular for these. It's because the stock display is just horrendous. So the screen, like, I can put up with some things with a laptop, but a bad screen is not a thing that I will deal with. That is just not a thing that should, like, be okay. That's not okay. And it's such a shame because specifications-wise, build-wise, keyboard-wise, the T420 is notably better than the T500, and it solves many of the problems, but the screen, it's not even a step back. It's like it fell flat and rolled down the hill. But let's talk about that keyboard. Absolutely incredible. While the T500 did suffer from some deck flex that was perplexing because people recommended the IBMs for their keyboards, the T420 feels like you could hit the keyboard with a hammer and it would not move an inch. Much like my comments with the Vostro 1700, well, This actually beats the Vostro 1700 in terms of sturdiest keyboard. It is incredible that there is no deck flex whatsoever. And I mean, I've typed on a lot of laptop keyboards. This is the best. Hands down, it is the best keyboard I have ever used on a laptop. It is my favorite. It is my absolute favorite. It's crisp, it's sharp feeling, it's responsive, it's not mushy and squishy. There's still a good amount of travel, but it doesn't feel like you're sinking your fingers into a pillow when you type, like a keyboard with deck flex like the Dell Adamo or even the T500 does. So the keyboard is top notch. Same with the touchpad. Again, it does the fancy gestures that I'm not used to using because I talk about laptops that are 5 years older than this. It does the two-finger scrolling side to side, etc. And again, the ribbed texture is unpleasant. It does not feel good on the fingers. Feels like you're dragging it across concrete. It is not, I'm not a fan. However, something I do like about it is its speakers. They are quiet and they are lacking in bass. However, mid-range and treble response is not exaggerated. It is balanced and it is just as loud as it should be. Sounds like cymbals and claps don't, blow you backwards with sound that you have to turn up the volume for to even hear instruments on the low end. They sound good. They sound good as far as business laptops go. It has a bit of a funky flaw, and it has to do with the placement of the Think light and the camera. There's the camera with the light on. So you can see on the screen, when I turn the light on, the camera gets washed out because they are right next to each other. And I don't know why they did that. They should have just put a little wall between the like a little piece of plastic between the Think light and the camera to prevent that. Although if you're using a webcam in a room where it is so dark that you have to turn the light on to see your keyboard, maybe you shouldn't have your webcam on in the first place. Just a bit of a funky little design flaw. Something that I absolutely cannot complain about though is the battery life. This thing makes it like 4 hours almost of actual use, and that is with NVIDIA Optimus on the discrete graphics card. And so that means it's only getting utilized when, a 3D heavy application or an external display is being used. 4 hours is a lot of battery life compared to what I'm used to, especially because this is fast. Most of the laptops I have that achieve 4 hours of battery life, like the XPS M1210, achieve 4 hours of battery life because they are tiny and also they use slow-ass CPUs like 1.6 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. I'm not used to getting battery life like this on a actually speedy system, so I like it. It's quite nice. Okay, we're going for Unreal Tournament 2004. This flickering is really only bad on bright screens, so I hope it won't be bad throughout our tests. Well, the NVS 4200 and the Intel HD, some people would be like, oh, well, they're not even that different. They both perform like shit. They actually don't. There is a pretty significant performance gap between the two. This feels like it might be running on the discrete graphics card. I've played on an Intel HD 4000 at 1080p and it ran a lot worse than this. Only 43 megabytes of the NVS's memory used though, and I think Unreal Tournament 2004 at maximum settings would be using more memory than that. Again, I apologize for the flicker. I really wish there was anything I could do about it. There we go. Okay, is the NVS? Yes, it is actually running on the NVIDIA NVS, and it's putting 40% load on it, so that's nice. NVIDIA Optimus is properly kicking in. on my Dell Precision M6700, Unreal Tournament 2004 never runs on the discrete Quadro MXM card. It always runs on the integrated HD 4000 graphics in DirectX mode. So that's nice that is not the case here. And I didn't even like configure that as a setting in Windows. It just automatically is using the discrete video card. Enough yapping, IceTomb. I have a feeling it'll handle IceTomb just fine. This card is probably about as powerful as a GeForce 8800. I'm just going to infer that right now. Yeah, it's running as well as a GeForce 8800M at 1680 by 1050. Boom. And again, this is at the native resolution of 1600 by 900, which is worse than the T500. But fitting, since the whole screen is worse than the T500. So I appreciate the consistency. The commitment to making the whole screen worse instead of just a few aspects is absolutely not appreciated, in fact. Yes, the T420 is a good laptop, but I don't think it justifies triple the price of any other similar business laptop of this era to have specifically a T420 and then put a good screen in it. That's Unreal Tournament 2004. It's running great. Now, I've made my opinions about AMD and NVIDIA clear in the past. To be clear, when I, rag on ATI cards, I'm not saying that AMD's modern cards are in the same state, because they genuinely aren't. AMD's modern cards, I am aware, are not unusable like ATI's old stuff is. The big difference is when NVIDIA drops a card from support, it is A, on a newer operating system version than when ATI dropped support, so it's usable for longer, but B, NVIDIA actually bothers to fix like critical bugs before they drop support for a video card, so that means you don't get like horribly broken final driver releases with NVIDIA. And again, I'm talking like 15, 20-year-old cards here. I know that the state of the two companies' products have changed since. I know AMD's kind of pulled it together in recent years with drivers. Well, actually, they still kind of haven't, but much better than the stuff that I work with. Well, Blur's running great. Let's make it run less good. Graphics. Oh, well, never mind, we can't. It defaulted to the maximum setting. I was like, that seems to be running a little less good than I was expecting. Well, that's because I thought it was running at the minimum setting, and it's actually all the way up. So, screen doesn't look good, but the graphics sure do. Again, I'm so sorry you're getting those funky scan lines on the camera. Wish there was a way I could remedy that. This is running incredibly. Just like the ThinkPad T500, the 420 is blowing me the fuck away with its performance. I feel like it's only appropriate that it has the 4200 NVS card in the in the ThinkPad 420. That is just, they were made for each other. Well, regardless of weed funny, laptop run game good, Dana happy. Oh no, I haven't unlocked that one yet. Okay, there's another one. It's the Russian Hill level, and it always lags out, no matter what graphics card I'm playing on, and I believe it's due to video memory constraints. But again, it still lags on a GTX 950 or a Quadro FX with 1.5 GB of VRAM. So it's bizarre. It always lags on everything. By the way, the viewing angles on the screen are also rancid. Usually I'm able to sit off to the side at a 45-degree angle or so, and I can see the screen clearly enough to still play on it. I'm having trouble seeing the screen. Okay, that's usually where the first big lag spike is, and there was nothing Like, there was nothing at all there. It is not doing the lag. This is incredible. Yeah, I've never seen a computer lag this little on Russian Hill. Like, again, it's a business laptop. It doesn't need a crazy good screen, but I would at least like one that doesn't hurt to look at. It washes out black and white contrast as well, which, you know, you don't want that on a business laptop, because guess what colors the, like, everything that has to do with business is? Like, PDFs, Word docs are uncomfortable to read on this. I've actually used it for a week, you know, daily, and I found a lot of work to be difficult and uncomfortable to do on it because its colors are very harsh. I think we can handle high world detail. We can turn on shadows at least, turn them to high. And for world effects, no, actually I don't want those on. I don't want the piss grain filter. Actually, it might make the blue, yeah, it might counterbalance the disgustingly blue LED backlight. This looks really damn good. Or at least I think it does. It's hard to see because this, again, screen bad, graphic good. Yeah, I mean, the business laptop, again, really good graphics for a business laptop. Of course, you wouldn't be pushing these graphics at this frame rate through the Intel HD 3000 integrated graphics. This is, of course, the NVIDIA NVS model. And Mr. ThinkPad had learned by this time that ATI graphics cards are in fact unsuitable for business. Hell yeah, the cutscene that just played out was my favorite part of this game, where the police officer looks straight at the camera and says, "This guy has a need for speed." And then the title credits play. Yeah, it looks good, it plays great. Even the tire smoke. Tire smoke doesn't bring it to a grinding, staggering halt, like a lot of the times happens with weaker video cards. Again, this is a big boy video card. Wow, yeah, tire smoke does not, you know, destroy the frame rate. Alright, 1600 by 900, and full screen for Crysis, and we'll turn up those graphics settings, probably put it on like maximum. Yeah, it set everything to high by default, so we're going to keep it. Okay, maybe the like absolute maximum setting was a bit high to default to. I think Crysis may have been a little too optimistic in sending us all the way into the danger zone with the settings. Crysis is demanding, if you haven't noticed, and this is not running particularly excellently, so we'll turn down those settings a little bit. I wish I could show you how bad the input lag is, because it is utterly horrendous. So we need to turn down those settings. Okay, everything has been set to medium, and oh, that's so much better. There's still like more input lag than I would like, but the game is like playable now. It's running at a frame rate that's, you know, you can have fun here. Well, here we are. Here we are playing the Crysis. Again, like, it's running okay. This is like 40 something frames a second, it feels like. And it's, I mean, I'm satisfied. You could absolutely have fun here. If you're buying a ThinkPad T420, you could still play some Hello, fella. Hi. Oh my god, you can throw... Wow. This game is incredible. I literally did not know until right now that you could pick a turtle up and throw it. Yay! He loves it. He's having so much fun. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's Crysis. It runs well. Getting some tearing up there, so that means that's more than 60 frames a second. And, you know, again, do your own settings, tweaking, of course. Of course, CPU isn't holding us back like a Core 2 Duo might. The Intel i5 2500, I believe, is not holding us back here whatsoever. Yeah, it's running perfectly at the ultra setting. Not an issue whatsoever. Oh boy. Excellent. Yeah, that's running great. How did all of you pass me, you goofs? Oh no. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the good shit. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Well. Ooh, getting some lag amidst the tire smoke. Yeah, once the tire smoke is gone, it's not an issue. I mean, game runs great. The motion blur I'm not a fan of. There's a tiny bit of input lag actually, so might want to turn down a couple settings here and there. Then again, this is the absolute maximum settings, so, you know, I'm surprised it's running, ooh damn it, quite this well. Well, there you have it. That's the ThinkPad T420. It once again surprises me with its performance from a business laptop, and also absolutely impresses with its keyboard and its sturdy build quality. It solves many of the complaints I had with the T500, that being the ATI video card having unreliable drivers, the keyboard flexing, and no captive screws, and this fixes it by adding one of those. Although it does suffer from its own problems that the T500 did not, like a horrible screen, and it runs pretty hot as well. The T420 is, well, I now understand why people love these so much. It is quite an excellent machine, and while the screen is a very big shortcoming, and I feel personally like it's not the best move to buy a T420 and then replace the screen when you could instead get like a Latitude with a good screen in the first place. I do now have an appreciation for the T420, just like, you know, other people have been saying this is so good. But that does bring me to the point that don't say like ThinkPads are perfect. They're not. Both of the ones I've had have been flawed. And great news is no laptop is perfect. No EliteBook, no Latitude, no Pavilion, and also no ThinkPad, of course. So don't say like you absolutely need a ThinkPad. They're the only good old laptops out there. That is not true at all. I've demonstrated some flaws with this one and the T500. And if someone says you just didn't get the right one again, I'm not listening to you. But the ThinkPad T420, in conclusion, is an excellently built machine, an excellently performing machine, and also a pretty good looking one. It's nice and clean, simple, got that professional aesthetic. And yes, again, I just see why people like these so much. But that's where I'm going to wrap up this video. This will absolutely be one that I keep and I use. So I always love when I can come out of like a laptop purchase for a video with something that I actually genuinely like. But that is it for this one, so thank you to everyone who supports me, makes this possible. As always, your help and support is greatly appreciated, and if you're new here, I talk about this kind of thing a lot. I have a lot of videos about laptops, so come back and watch some more if you enjoyed. Thank you, that's it.